Last time I did terrain, you guys loved it. And so today we're going to continue on with that, with doing more mountains, an island, creating our own islands, as well as underwater terrain. So let's get into it. So what actually got me into doing the terrain for this area was actually the water bit, because I wanted to have, I guess we can't really see, but down there are my baby mobs I captured a couple episodes ago, and I needed somewhere for them to go. So before I kind of fenced off the area, I really wanted to have the ground underneath them all terrained up. And I thought, while I'm doing all the terrain under there, might as well continue on the terrain out here on the mountainside. So we have a couple little areas. I planned on this little hilly area here to fix it up and fix all that kind of weird rough generation that's usually in the natural of Minecraft, as well as this island and a couple more islands in here. Now the reason why I wanted a couple more islands out in here was to make it easier to do the blocking off of the water area, so I can have like a giant curtain or wall that surrounds everything and keeps all the baby mobs in, so they're not going out and getting lost because they take forever to find. So I want to make sure they're easily kept in this area, but I want it to look a little bit more natural. So if I have a couple islands down in here, I can have smaller walls that don't look like just massive block walls that are just keeping everything in. It's a little bit more natural. We'll see how it goes later on. But before we can even talk about getting the terrain done, we have to do a lot of prep, and that includes multiple steps. And the first step is removing all of the unwanted blocks. And as you saw from that quick little clip, there is plenty to do. All the blue is blocks that'll go over top of the already existing terrain. Red is a block that needs to be swapped out, and pink needs to be swapped out for air, so it just needs to be destroyed. When I did the original terrain back there, I didn't really plan that ahead. It was the first time I ever did big terraining, so I had a lot of blocks that I needed to destroy. This time, not so much. So first thing we have to do is we have to clear away all the blocks that we don't need in this area. So for this island, it is mostly just these trees with a couple extra blocks. I think I saw some down there earlier that need to be removed. Not too hard. And then for all the terrain over there, there are some awkward bits on these little mountains that need to be removed. But for the most part, it's built up over top, and it's like I'm going to be building a shell around everything, which will save me a lot of blocks, but then it'll create a lot of spawning areas for mobs, so I might have to go back and light everything up properly. So this is a part that you guys won't want to see the step-by-step, so we're just going to do a quick little time-lapse of me removing all the unwanted blocks, so that when we have all the blocks we need to place down, it'll be a lot faster and it'll look a lot better. It won't be all jumpy of destroy some blocks, place some blocks, things like that. So let's quickly do that, and then we can get on to gathering all the blocks we'll need for this terrain. Now that all of the blocks have been removed, we need to actually gather all the blocks we need, and that is kind of handy because in the last episode we prepped a lot of these automatic gathering machines for blocks that I'll be needing lots of. One of those being this pale moss, so I'm going to have this running in the background for a while and collect up a bunch of pale moss because we need plenty of that. As you can probably see by my inventory, I've already started gathering some blocks. One of those being tuff. I've gone through the caves, spent some time down there, and it's one of the few blocks I can't actually automate, so it takes a lot of time just digging around in caves. Thankfully, the further I go away, it's easy to find in caves, and each little pocket can contain up to like 1,000 in each one. Now, a different bit of blocking that I chose for this terrain was actually smooth basalt, so that's why I grabbed this one into this factory, because I wanted to grab plenty of that. I haven't actually started farming it up, so there's only a little bit in here, but it's a nice and easy thing, I think, to create. Is it that way? Okay, maybe it's, I think you have to smelt it up to get the smooth, so we're going to have to take a bunch back to our super smelter. And then also we'll be needing a lot of cobblestone, because we'll be using this alongside some quartz to turn it into the andesite that I'll need. And that's another thing that I don't really want to go and dig that up, so it's easier to farm it this way where I can kind of AFK, grab a fortune pick, turn this on, just walk in and hold left click. I don't have to look around, and I get 2 lines. There are more effective ways of doing this, but I think this is just the quickest and easiest way of doing so. And here is the block palette we will be working with today. So from the bottom to the top, we got mud, smooth basalt, cyan terracotta, we got tuff, pale moss, andesite, green terracotta, and then regular moss. So for the underwater bits, it's going to go from the mud to the andesite because you don't want green underwater. That doesn't really make as much sense. So that'll just be for the above ground kind of things, above Y level 62 in my world. So that's all nice and done for there. So for most of these, they're automatic able to get from that factory. So that's the salt, and then the 2 mosses, and then the andesite because I can get cobblestone, and then I can get quartz from my nether Biglin bartering area. That gets me all the quartz, and I can craft up as much as I want. Now, the harder ones to get would definitely be the terracottas, but it's easy to grab terracotta from a mesa, so I just need the dyes, and I've got some smelting up here. Got plenty of green dye, plenty of cactus. The blue dye can come from my blue dye farm. Not too hard, so those 2, not that hard. I can get like 20 shulkers in like an hour or so that is nice and easy to grab. So that's those 2 knocked off. The pale moss, easy. That's done. So all that's left is really the mud, which is just dirt into my mud machine up top. I can probably take that over to the factory area. And then the hard one, tuff. That's why I removed deep slate from this one, because originally I had deep slate for the other first coloring, or the first mountain I did, but I switched it out for basalt because it's just so much easier to get. And it has a similar color profile. It's between the mud and the kind of tuff area. I added the cyan terracotta just because it's another gray that adds a little bit more of a gradient throughout. The further you get back, the easier you can kind of see. I might swap some things around because, I mean, it's hard to tell what goes where, but this is a decent gradient and it'll get me for most of my building. So now all we have to do is gather up the harder ones, and then we'll lay them all out and we can start building. Alright, the shaving of the unnecessary blocks on the island and these hills is all complete. Not too much anywhere else. There's a little bit that we'll do as we go into the building, but the main part is gathering of the blocks. So I've laid out my palette of my gradient here, and I've counted the amount of blocks I need for each using my schematica diagram, and it's not going to be perfect because it takes into account the blocks underneath, because I couldn't get a perfect cast of the top bit. It was just taking way too long, so we're just going to do the best we can, and we might be short by a couple stacks or maybe even a full box, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So as we go here, the total number of blocks is 105,000 blocks total, and that's for both the land and the sea parts. So starting out with the moss, so I split it down for the moss, and then we did the amount of blocks, and then the amount of space it needs. So it needs 7 shulker boxes. This one needs 5 shulker boxes plus an additional 5 stacks, so it'll need 6 in total with the extra. Then we got the andesite, pale moss, tuff, cyan terracotta, smooth basalt, which is, I guess, the biggest one, and then mud. So for the andesite, I've got some nether quartz standing by, and cobblestone, and I've kind of gone through my storage from last time when we finished off this. We had a bit extra, so that means we're probably going to have extra on this one as well, which will be good for the next time. So we just got to go through. Tuff is the only one that's complete. The other ones I need to go through, gather for like the terracotta. I've grabbed a bit of the regular terracotta. There's still more at the base, and I think we'll, yeah, I left it over in the mesa, so we'll have to go and drop by and grab that because I did some mining on a live stream, so that's all good. So now we just need to do things like the smooth basalt. So let's head over to the factory real quick. So one thing I'm going to need to upgrade this thing is with a doorway, because if I'm going to be AFKing, I want to be safe. A spider did get through here, so this isn't obviously the best, but we've got our cobblestone. I've done a small amount. You can see the spider. So I've brought that into here. That's something I haven't really done much of. We've got a bit of basalt going on, but we needed 19,000 in total, so that's going to be a big one. And we're letting our moss go. We got a little bit more in here, but we've also gotten 4 full shulker boxes, so we're almost ready for the pale moss, and then we'll switch it back to regular moss, because I think we need more pale. We'll see. And I also have some regular moss back in the base, so we're going to be AFKing the basalt and cobblestone for a little bit longer. I might actually have a lot of cobblestone back at base, so that's kind of the thing with me being unorganized. We have to slowly check all the shulker monsters I've left around. Ooh, looks like we got some more in here. So we can top this one off, and then we can bring this one back, leave these in here. And we got 5 down, so now it's just gathering the last materials. And then we can start on the building, and I think, let's see, can we make it out? Close. I think we're gonna do the up or above, not the sea. We're gonna do the land first. We're gonna do all the land, which means it's gonna overhang slightly, but then once we get to doing underwater, I'm not sure how it works with the Lightmatica scan. We'll see how difficult it's gonna be, because like things about the ocean or the islands we have here, above ground is nice and easy. We'll see if the auto placing works well with underwater stuff, if we have to destroy a bunch. Because I've already gone back a little bit, but those blocks there might need to be destroyed. We'll see how it goes. We're going to do above ground first quickly, and then we'll get to doing the underground. So another time lapse, another day. Let's gather the rest of these materials and then get to building. Wow, okay, that was a build session. I don't know how long it's been. I'll have to check the flashback recording, but we are done with the above ground section. Let's go take a quick look. I'll probably do a quick little flyby before we get to this clip, but we have gotten a lot done. We've got this island done over here, flying past my very helpful Happy Ghast. And if we head back over this way, I guess we'll sleep real quick so we can see it in the light. And we've done our work over here on this mountaintop, all cleared up and connected to my previous mountain range that I am so glad I did this, but at the same time, this was hell. Oh my god, this took so long. I'll put how long it took on the screen now after I tally up all the flashbacks I did. But this was an insane amount of building. My arms are killing me. The reason why this video is a little later than I planned it to be, because this is taking so much longer, and we're still not even done the underwater bits. That's the next bit we gotta work on. But let's go check in on our progress of all the blocks. This is what we have left. I haven't updated the signs because I didn't want to do the math, but let's check the quick little bit in Lightmatica. Alright, after a quick cleaning up of my Lightmatica material list here, we've got what is left. So we're down, definitely basically done with the green bits. I guess I might have missed some. There are some bits I haven't done, so these probably are already done, honestly, because now we just have underwater, and I didn't add any water left, so you can see the progress. We've done some progress, like 8,000 tough. We've done a lot of the andesite. We're pretty much done with that. Decent chunk of the cyan, the pale moss, some of the mud, but it's the smooth basalt. Trying to get that out of the way. I've only done 2,000. We still have 16,000. That's why this one is so long. And I'll show you what I meant by the edges. I haven't done all the way, I guess, over here. You can kind of see it's overhanging a little bit. In the Lightmatica scan, it's grass. I smooth it over, but I didn't want to do too much of that, because when I eventually connect up to all the other terrain we'll do, because obviously all the terrain will be done everywhere. The plan is to have basically my entire world properly terrained, but that is going to take a long time, and we're just doing bit by bit for now. This area needs to be left kind of undisturbed for eventually when I expand all the farm out and give more space for all my animals. But now what is left is we have to clear underwater, get rid of all of these kelp blocks, get them all out of the way. We have to build down, I guess destroy down maybe 1 or 2 layers of the gravel that's down there, replace it with our own blocks, and we have 2 islands over here we need to build up, but I wanted to get the underwater bits done as well. As you can see, it's pretty much all gravel. Let's see if we can load in the Lightmatica without it breaking. There we go, it's lagging. And we're going to move very slowly. As you can see, all this red means all of this needs to be destroyed. Basically, I have to turn off my shaders and lower my render distance like crazy. I can probably lower the height of all the blocks that need to be changed, but there's lots, and I mean lots, to break down here. Let's see, how deep do we have to go down? A little bit more. Okay, looks like this might actually be the block level we need to get to, because it's showing red because it's water flowing here instead of the blocks. So once I grab all the blocks I need in the shulkers and start placing them down, we should basically only need to destroy one layer of the gravel. It's not a problem because we have our conduit power, and we're also instant mine even though we don't have a haste 2 beacon close by. That might be helpful for when we get to this sand, or I guess this stone bit. Let's check. No, not too bad, but it'll be faster with the haste 2 beacon, so we might employ that. So with all the blocks underwater that we need to change to get the retexturing ingredient in, I was thinking of using the green method of removing all the water to do the retexturing. But I think for my case, using a conduit and a beacon will just be enough for that. It won't be as visually pleasing for the time lapse because the water is extremely deep, but I want to get this done for today's video and not 10 videos in the future. So again, we're going back into time-lapse mode because since it's such a big project, you can't really show bits and pieces of it being done piece by piece. It's kind of a before and after shot we want to go for. So we're going to finish off the underwater. It's going to go all the way to back here, so it's going to be underwater. All this here we have to replace. If we dive down under here, all this is going to be replaced with proper blocks. It's going to smooth into, you can see I've already placed a couple as I was going, smooth into the gradient I was using. And then we also have our little islands over here. I guess I can show off this really cool kind of under bit. It was already a ravine built in. I'll turn the Fullbright on so you can see it. So I just utilized that and created a little nice cave kind of entrance throughout the whole thing. So we've got lots of work to do, so let's get back into it. Wow, okay, that was quite the time. I just checked all of my timings for it. It's over 4 hours for the land bits and over 3 hours for the underwater bits at least. I'll have to combine all of the different flashbacks I took because I had to take breaks in between, obviously. But as we go underwater here, I'll turn on the Fullbright so we can see it a little bit better. But there is a lot, and I mean a lot of terrain complete. I didn't do everything because we still have a little bit of blocks. Can we make it up? So we still have this much left of all the blocks. Some bits in each of these. Some of them aren't full, but this one needs to be full. It's not supposed to be that empty, but I was taking from the back. So we've slowly gone through and finished a lot of the building. Now, stuff I didn't do on this side of this island. So if we dive down here, you can see it's still gravel. I went up to only a certain point. You can see here, kind of up until where it connects up to this island, and then I smoothed out where it came down to the bottom of the ocean. As well as there's still a lot. You can see basically anywhere there's the green still of all the kelp, I haven't done that. I kind of just skirted along the edge. There's still lots to do. I haven't done on this side either. There's plenty, I guess, under probably here needs a lot of work, but I've spent minimum, I want to say, 8 hours building, and my brain is mush. This is probably the longest amount of time I've spent on a single episode. I mean, minus the end build, that one was just more of a lot of preparing time. This is the longest building I've ever done in Minecraft. Minimum 8 hours. I did probably the last 4 hours straight of building, so I finished all of the underwater, I want to say. Probably a little bit more, maybe a little less, I don't know. My brain's mush. You can probably tell I'm just not making sense from what I'm talking about, but we have done so much terrain. And yes, there is still plenty more to do. I'm obviously going to do all this terrain here. I mentioned earlier that I didn't even finish all of this edge work because I've got to do all the terrain over here, but I just wanted it from like a certain viewpoint of how much we've got. I'm just going to dive around and swim through all this water. It is feeling awesome that it's all complete now. There's still, like, yeah, as you can see, basically anywhere there's gravel or any greenery currently, that's not done yet. I will probably go around with bone meal and do bone meal on these areas, so it's not so barren, but that's probably going to be for another time. There's so much terrain done. Now, I do have some fun plans for these islands. At least one of them, I'm thinking of putting a lighthouse on. Either that or I'll put it over there, because eventually I want massive ships kind of flowing through. Airship style. I kind of know how to make boats. Just forget about the blimp, put some sails on there, and just put them all throughout here, because the plan is eventually to have the port village over here with a massive dock, with all these ships just coming and going, bringing things into this world. Obviously not functional, but it might be fun to have some things in there, and obviously we'll need some lighthouses to make sure they don't crash in, because as you can see, it's quite dark here at night. You can kind of appreciate all the bits of lighting we have placed around in the world. That's the old village over there that we'll need to eventually take down, or maybe even upgrade. But I think that is where we're going to leave today's episode. It was a lot of work to get this done, a lot of just mind-numbing. I think I watched at least 2 seasons of a TV show doing all of this. It has been a long project, but I think it's worth it just to pull the whole world together. Even if you can't really see too much of the underground. You can see here, this is what happens when I go above ground. Can't see too much of it, but eventually when we get all of the night vision for those tunnels, it'll be much more viewable, plus obviously flying around. Now we have some sad news. One of my squids has died, and my baby dolphin has died. Either that or it despawned, I don't know. When I came over here to dismantle the ship, the dolphin was gone, so he might have gotten stuck under somewhere, because the dolphins need air. And I'm not sure what happened to the squid, because I could have sworn we still had 3 when I was building along this area. So at some point between here and all of this, he's managed to escape or something. Maybe he was underwater or underneath this area and I built over him and then he got disconnected. But we still have the 2 left, and we're having lots of things spawning in the area. Now we can see a lot more because we don't have all the greenery, but I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. Until next time.